Welcome back. Welcome back. We're here with Mastermind Wisdom. Mastermind Wisdom for Winners. Millionaire Mindset. We're back on episode 2 with our own Leonard Hayes. He just talked to a little bit about the book, and we want to get into a little bit more detail. Just remember, Mastermind Wisdom for Winners, where knowledge isn't just shared, it's activated. Each episode, it gives you insight that challenges how you think, pushes how you grow, and sharpens how you move through life. So if you're ready to get started, let's get our episode 2 up with my own Leonard. Welcome back, brother. Welcome
All
back.
right.
Yeah, we just went over the God-Centered Entrepreneur, the new book that's been out, authored by you. You gave us a little background of being inspired and the accomplishments that you have, the things you've overcome, the challenges you've overcome, and just actually are finishing up with your cancer. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
And you look great. And,
Thank you.
And God has been blessing you, and you got a lot of eyes looking, and you've been an inspiration to everyone around you, including myself. In your book, we want to get into and delve to get our audience interested, not only to go out and get this book, but to share it with others. We call it entrepreneur, but we said entrepreneurship is not just business, building businesses, it's life.
Yes, it is.
Life building. So what I want to do is just ask you some of the chapters in your book. Let's talk about a few of those chapters that get our appetite
Gotcha.
interested. What is your most prolific or most memorable aspect of that chapter in the book that comes to mind?
When I realized I had the gift, and that's the first chapter. And I named it The Call Before the Climb.
Repeat that.
The Call Before the Climb.
Call before the climb.
And I just want to read a little bit of that chapter, if you don't mind.
Go right ahead. That's what we want.
It says, I didn't begin this journey because everything was going right. I began because staying the same became heavier than changing. There comes a moment in life when survival is no longer enough, when simply getting through the day starts to feel like disobedience. For me, the moment didn't arrive loudly. It came through responsibilities, pressures, and a quiet realization that God had already carried me through too much for my life to remain ordinary. I had endured challenges. I had navigated uncertainty. I had carried weight long before I ever called it leadership. And through every season, one truth became clear. I was still standing for a reason.
All right.
All right?
Yeah.
And what made me really get into entrepreneurship is I've been an entrepreneur all my life, even in school.
Okay.
When, I was in school, I used to sell candy and different things like that.
Yes, sir.
But I remember I had one job in my life, and I was working for a park district. I had 2 kids. I never forget, man, I went to work, and they fired me 2 weeks before Christmas. And I'm sitting up here like I got a girlfriend at home with 2 kids, no job.
Yeah.
How would I support my family?
Oh, my God.
That was the most scariest thing that ever happened to me. Now, mind you, I was a young man. I was in my early 20s.
Yeah.
That taught me a lesson. I said a man will never, ever determine if I can take care of my family again. I knew I was a hard worker. I already knew I was an entrepreneur from when I was selling candy and,
Right.
for the kids in the little game rooms. All I had to do was find a product, find a clientele, and sell it to the people with a twist.
Yeah.
That was pretty much my startup.
Yeah. That was the initiation.
That was the initiation of it. And from there, every time before I started a business, I thought, who would be my clientele base? How would I give it to them?
Right.
And why would they want to do business with me? So those are the 3 major questions I always ask myself before I even start a business.
Gotcha.
Because I work backwards.
Right.
Give me the bad stuff first.
Okay.
Don't because when you start a business, you see the fairy tale. Oh my God, it's gonna be great. It's gonna be my sign. It's gonna be my name.
Yeah.
That will go away real quick.
Okay.
Let that money start getting short. So that was the start. Then I started at an early age when I knew I had the gift.
Excellent. And that's what we want to kind of remember. And you gave a perfect example. And the question I have asked you, how do you handle the rejection and the criticism or the naysayers when you start your business or when you got involved in business?
Well, the thing about it is I never worried about naysayers.
Okay.
Never. Because You got dreamers and you got visionaries.
Okay.
It's a difference.
Right. And what's the difference?
We all dream.
Okay.
We'll go to sleep, we'll have a great dream, but we can wake up in the morning and forgot the dream we had that night.
Wow.
Let the hustle and bustle of the day go. You can ask yourself, I had a good dream last night, but I forgot what it is.
Yeah. Always.
A visionary sees what he sees. He sees the vision. He sees it in his sleep. He sees it when he's awake. His eyes is always open. So if your eye was always open, you can always see that thing.
Yeah.
So therefore, you got people always dream about a business but never do it.
Right.
I'm a visionary. When I see it, I trust God at it and I go after it. And it's nothing no one else can tell me. If God told me, I'm going to go
You're
do
gonna
it.
do it.
God gave me a gift in business, and it was some business that I did that was out of God's will. Because I didn't seek him. I said, I just want to do it, and I did it because I had a gift to open up businesses.
Right.
But just because you got a gift of something, that don't necessarily mean that's what it needs to be used
Right,
for
right.
at that point in time.
So what I hear you say is that the vision to continue on and to make it last, you have to be God given
Yes.
and God centered, as opposed to self-centered
That's correct.
into what we're doing.
And another thing to piggyback on the other part of your question is the naysayers. Sometimes it's good not to say anything as of yet.
Okay.
It's an old saying, don't let the right hand know what the left hand doing.
I understand,
So
yeah.
because discouragement comes in discouragement come in family.
form,
It can
right.
come in doubt. It can come in anything. And one thing you don't need if you're an entrepreneur is the doubting Thomases.
Yes.
People with the doubt.
Right.
They're always questioning. You don't need that.
Right.
You really don't. You need uplifted, you need encouragement, but you really need to hear from God. Because everybody got advice, but God got the right advice. So the
Exactly.
first thing you do is seek God. Seek him.
Right.
Then once you seek him, hear from him.
Right.
Don't go ahead of him. And that was the whole thing with my
lesson-
book.
lesson
I used to
learned.
always go ahead.
Right.
Go ahead. Go
Right.
ahead. And this didn't go right. Well, Lord, why is this? Well, you went that way. I didn't tell you to go that way.
Right.
You went that way.
That was your decision.
Exactly.
Right. That's why this book is so important, because it's a roadmap to stay on track.
Yes.
And I see that based on what you're describing and what you're saying there. How do you bring out the best from your book in collaborating with others and making it, seeing it work? Because that's your vision.
Yes.
And to get everybody on board is not the easiest thing in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you do, and how do you collaborate with people to get
This is what I tell people. If it was easy, everybody be doing it. Everybody be
Say
doing
it again, brother.
If
You
it was
preaching now.
easy, everybody be doing it.
Right.
Sometimes entrepreneurship take years. Sometimes it take years. It was some people that hit it that they didn't hit it to years past. My mentor that I love, Myron Golden, he's a great mentor. And he said, he started off in sales, and he said, it took me 2 to 3 years before I made my first sale. But after he made that first sale, he became the best salesman on his team. So right now, Myron is a multi-millionaire off his knowledge. He don't sell anything but knowledge. That's it. He don't have. He got a couple of books that he wrote,
Right.
but he sells his knowledge.
Well, which
he's
is-
a multi-millionaire off his
Off
knowledge.
his knowledge.
Entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is, you can't rush. You got to take your time, hear from God, and again, those naysayers, block them out.
Block them out.
Block them out. Block them out.
Listen up.
And
Are
trust
you
God.
entrepreneurs? Block them out.
Yes.
Block them out. Yes, sir. Excellent, excellent. In respect to knowing how to handle it, is there any one? And I like people like stories,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to think about it sometime. But is there one particular story that stands out that somebody said something negative to you that you were able to overcome and just keep moving
Yes.
forward in it?
I never forget, I had a store in Champaign on a college campus. I had a clothing store and a cell phone store.
Okay.
And I'm a believer, following Christ. And this guy came in and he had a dispute. And I said, man, I'm not going to cheat you out your money. I'm a Christian. He said, what they got to do with anything?
Wow. You already.
I said, he's right. I said, he's right. In business, God is the center of my life. But in business, I still handle business where I handle business. and I handle business with godly principles.
Right.
But I don't have to throw God and Jesus in everyone's face when I'm doing business.
Right.
That taught me a valuable lesson. In business, you can hang on to your integrity, but you got to. I'm not saying check your Christianity at the door. I never say that.
Right.
But in business, you handle business like you should
Right.
handle business.
Right.
And not put your religion so much into your business affairs like that. Now, I
Right.
say God should give you the decisions, but don't preach the Bible to every one of your customers.
Right.
Because that's not what they're there for. They there to get your services.
Okay. I'll even use the best example in my life, Christian as I am, and not having to tell people I am, but it's how I live my life. It's what I do and the way
Yes.
I handle my life. God is in you, so He shines through you
Yes.
if you allow Him to, and I think that's very important. We wanted to talk about another section of the book and then closing of the book, but the excuse me. Thing I would like to ask you is, you've written this book. God is continuing to inspire you in the book. What kind of legacy would you like to leave based on what you've done in your entrepreneurship?
You know what? The legacy I like to leave is that young man inspired a lot of entrepreneurs. That's what I want to be my philanthropy work. You can give, you can donate, you can give to the homeless. I love feeding the homeless too. I love to feed the homeless, but I love to see people grow.
Okay.
God gives every man a gift, man and woman. When I
Right.
say man, God gives every person a gift.
Correct.
But the thing about it is some people will never walk into their gift. Some people will waste their gift. And some people will take their gift for granted. Like LeBron James has a gift.
Yes.
He has a phenomenal gift of basketball, man. Man, I've been watching LeBron since he first came to Elite 18.
Gotcha.
To see where he at now in his mid-40s, 23 seasons in, his IQ, his body and everything, that's a gift from God.
Right.
Not only that, great father, great example. He didn't never make a mockery out of his name, embarrass his wife, or none of that stuff.
Got it.
He appreciated his gift. Then you got some basketball players in NBA that squander their gift. They get it, they go broke, they spend all the money, they got scandals, whether it's guns, so on and so forth. So God gave you a gift, but you squandered your gift.
Right.
Everybody got a gift. I don't care who you are. The Bible says that.
Right.
Every man has a gift, but every man will never use his gift.
Right.
But if you want to be an entrepreneur, trust me, you got a gift. All you have to do is see God and let Him tell you and show you what that gift is.
So in closing on this episode 2, I believe the book, The God-Centered Entrepreneur, if not you developing your gift, can help you discover your gift.
Yes, it can.
So we want you to go out to Amazon, find this book, share it with your friends, share it with your relatives. It makes great gifts.
Yes.
Absolutely. You want us to do that. So we want to come close this session out and thank everybody for coming. And we're going to close it out with episode 3. And that's more, not only the decent of the gift, but the new things that you see in your vision. You want to share that with me? Is that all right?
Yeah.
Okay.